What's up, and welcome back to another edition of WMSD TV. This week, we're going to be taking a look at one of Parkland's most beloved restaurants, how MSD remembers 9/11, how students can improve their habits, and so much more. Hello, and welcome to WMSD TV. I'm Alexis Weinberg, here to showcase what's going on in our community. Starting off, we have reporter Alexi Padowitz here to showcase one of Parkland's most beloved restaurants.
In the heart of East Parkland lies Bluefin, a Japanese and Thai restaurant opened by Chef Yozo Natsui. Before moving west to Parkland, Chef Yozo was classically trained in the art of Japanese cuisine by Japanese sushi masters for 8 years, and for the past 20 years, he's been passing down his culinary knowledge to his students. Bluefin stands out with its high quality and unique flavors. Chef Yozo's secret to success is to combine Western American flavors with traditional Eastern Japanese ones. To maintain the exquisite taste of his restaurant's food, Chef Yozo handpicks the chefs that work at Bluefin. The restaurant itself has a high 4.5 rating on sites such as Yelp, Google, TripAdvisor, Grubhub, and Facebook. Critics compliment the gorgeous aroma and overall presentation of the dishes served. They also comment on the wide variety of drinks, appetizers, main courses, and desserts. Prominently featured in the menu is the restaurant's Japanese roots. Chef Yozo's dream was to be able to provide an immersive culinary experience featuring his Japanese fusion in a Western setting. He envisioned a multicultural experience that combines different kinds of flavors, textures, colors, and smells. Chef Yozo has absolutely perfected the idea of combining Eastern Asian flavors with Western American flavors to create a one-of-a-kind, delicious dining experience.
Next, we have reporter Josh Kramerson to show us how MSD honors 9/11.
On September 12th, JOTC Eagles Battalion held its annual tribute to 9/11. The event was held throughout the entire school day as cadets stood in front of a model of the Twin Towers, as well as a list of all the names of the victims taken from us just 21 years ago. As tragic as it may be, September 11th, 2001 still stands as one of the most important days in the history of the United States.
Tribute to 9/11 that we do every year is in honor of the fallen. One, it's to make sure that we never forget what happened on that terrible day. It was an important day in U.S. history, and doing the tribute ensures that we never forget.
Every year since 9/11 occurred, JOTC has held an honorary memorial for those that we lost. Although no current MSD students were alive in 2001, many of them still look back on the tragic events that happened that day.
So I think that paying tribute to 9/11 is actually really important, as it was a really big event that ended up impacting a lot of things internationally, which I guess makes it a high priority for JROTC.
September 11th is also a significant day for MSD as well, as our previous head of security, Richard Wentz, passed away in 2013 due to 9/11 related illnesses. Since then, a memorial for him has been built in front of the main gate. Even so many years later, 9/11 continues to permanently reshape the country.
It absolutely is a significant day in history, and even though it happened 21 years ago, even to this day we still feel the effects, the fallout. A lot of what we see on our daily lives are because of what happened on that day.
Today, 9/11 stands as a time for reflection and remembrance, honoring not only those who perished but also those who attempted to save them. Your parents, teachers, and older friends are all sure to have stories from that day that will ensure that people will never forget what happened. This is Joshua Kramerson, reporting for WMSD TV News.
If you want to improve yourself this year, one book may just be the key. Here's reporter Isabella LeCarry to tell us more.
Sean Covey's best-selling book, The 7 Habits of Highly Effective Teens, has recently made its rounds at MSD, as the school has begun to encourage reading the book. It goes through different habits students should adapt in order to become the most successful they can. DECA students, for example, have begun reading them, and some classrooms have begun holding on to them for students to read.
To be honest, I can't really remember. I just know that I've always used it in class. I always, when I first found it, felt it was very hands-on and applicable to teach students, really all people, but this book was primarily written to teens, these habits that would help them in everyday life. And from this point on, they could use these habits. So
The 7 steps to becoming a highly effective teen include various academic and productivity-based ideas. Some of them are be proactive, make a plan with your decisions, manage your time, think positively and look towards success, and work together with others. These steps are intended to help along the process of creating projects of all kinds. Students can use these to improve their performance at school and extracurriculars. On the other end, the book also includes habits that promote self-care and rest.
I think that good habits are a big part of success, and if you truly want to be successful, then you have to be proactive and have those good habits.
Of course, it's not a requirement, but making the choice to pick up this book and add at least a few of these habits to your life could cause great change. As MSD continues to promote it, there's the hope that more teens will reach out and read this book to become highly effective teens themselves. This is Isabella LeCarey reporting for WMSD TV News.
Now passing it off to reporter Max Friedman for this week's recap of Eagle sports.
Welcome to Eagles Athletics. We provide you intel on what the Eagles have done this week with sports. These seasons are just beginning. The girls volleyball team is off to an amazing start, with their overall record being 2-1, which they have shut out their opponents in each win, with the final score being 3-0 in both games, showing their opponents who's boss. These Lady Eagles are sure to impress everyone. With football season just starting, the MSD Eagles look to win it all. The Eagles start off this season 1-1, but don't let that record fool you, as this team has some superstars, like running back Clayton Cannon Jr., who had 10 carries for 117 yards and a touchdown during Week 1, and Justin Spano rushing for 127 yards and 2 touchdowns that same week. Last week was also the annual MSD homecoming game. They played Plantation and lost 40-26, but they didn't go down without a fight. Douglas ran the ball for a total of 260 yards and made some great passing plays that would turn into a touchdown. The season is just getting started for these teams. I'm Max Friedman reporting from WMSD TV News.
This next story is a little bit corny, but I couldn't imagine a more beautiful thing. Here's Eric Leocadio to tell us about TikTok's newest viral sensation.
It's corn, America's favorite vegetable, but there's no one that loves it more than this kid here blowing up like popcorn.
I can't imagine a more beautiful thing.
But this might not be the version you've been hearing all over TikTok.
A big corn that knocks, it has to chew.
That version there is a Shmoyoho remix of the kid's original interview.
I love the corn song. It's a great idea.
The original TikTok was an interview of the corn-loving Tariq done by Julian Shapiro Barnum, the man behind the viral Recess Therapy account.
I've always liked corn. It's my favorite fruit/vegetable/grain, and I just want to eat more corn now.
People all over TikTok adored both the remix and original interview, endearingly naming Tariq the Corn Kid and showing their own love of corn. And even South Dakota's own Corn Palace has named him the Corn Ambassador.
The Corn Palace sounds like a really cool idea, and I hope I get to visit it someday.
It's heartwarming to see this child's pure and innocent love of corn resonate with so many people all over the world. I'm Eric Leocadio with WMSD TV, and I hope you have a corntastic day.
On the topic of food, let's see what Chef Kurth is cooking up in the kitchen for this segment of Eagles Eatery.
Welcome back to another episode of Eagles Eatery. This week we're going to be focusing in on making the Red Lobster Cheddar Bay biscuits, which are very popular in our Culinary 1 level class. So we're going to start off with our measurement of 2 cups or 2 heaping cups of all-purpose flour. To that we are going to add a teaspoon of salt, just regular table salt. We have a tablespoon of baking powder. Make sure you're using baking powder, not baking soda, because you don't want the acidicness coming through. And then we have a little bit of sugar that we're going to add into it, just to kind of balance out the savoriness that we're going to be getting from our biscuits. Give it a nice mix to make sure you don't have any lumps or clumps as you're going through. And then we're going to mix together our butter. So the butter can come in chunks, or you can get it in large pieces like I have. And all you're going to do is you want it to be room temperature, so it's going to smush literally between your hands like so. And all I'm going to do is I'm just going to mash it between my hands and make it into pea-sized chunks as I am massaging it into my flour mixture. So we keep going until it resembles coarse sand. We're getting ready to add our buttermilk and 2 eggs. Now before I mix my liquid with my dry ingredients, I'm just going to come over here and crack them into the mixture together to make sure that my eggs aren't bad, number 1, and to make sure that it gets a nice little mix. And I'm just going to create a little well in the center and pour my egg mixture right in. And then I am just going to fold it in by hand, just until it forms a loose dough. Like you can see here, this is literally as loose as you're gonna get for your dough. At that point, I'm gonna add my cheese. A little bit at a time, because I always like to save a little bit for the top. And at this point, I'm going to roll it out onto my table. So I'm going to take my dough. Notice I do not have any flour on my table. It does not need it because of the amount of flour that is in my mixture, and it should not be a very wet dough. So at this point, I'm going to grab it and push down. I'm not kneading, like we're not doing the massage technique anymore. I'm literally using the flat parts of my hand and my palms to create a dough. So at this point, I'm gonna flatten my dough out. And there's two ways that you can actually make these biscuits. You can do it with a cutter, like any type of biscuit cutter, cookie cutter that's circular or anything. I like to do it kind of El Natural style. So I've got my parchment lined paper right here. I don't need to grease my pan at all. And I'm literally going to pinch off the size of a racquetball. All right, so at this point, if you wanted to add a little bit of extra cheese, you can. I'm going to a couple of them, not a lot of them, just a couple, because the cheese does form a crust on it and it does melt very quickly. And now into the oven we go.
And that's it for this episode of WMSD TV. If you want more school news, make sure to follow us at WMSD TV on Twitter, TikTok, and Instagram. And don't forget, be positive, be passionate, be proud to be an Eagle. We'll see you next week.